So we read today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 14, and this is verse number 7 and 8. And the chapter is called The System of Universal Management. And we read first the 7th one, and I think number 8 is on the board. Yes. Indru Bhagavata Tatam Trailokya Shriya Pujitam Pujana Patilokam String Kama Loke Bhavashati. King Indra, King of Heaven, receiving benediction from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus enjoying highly developed opulence, maintains the living entities all over the 3 worlds by pouring sufficient rain on all the planets. And now, 8. Janam Janu Chugam Brute.
Janam Janu Yam Brute.
Janam Janu Chugam Brute.
Janam Janu Yam Brute.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Risha Rupa Tarakama.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Rishi Rupa Tarakama.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Hari Shita Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Rishi Rupa Tarakama.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik. Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Rishi Rupa Dharadharma.
Rishi Rupa Tarakama.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Rishi Rupa Tarakama.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Jnanam Chanu Yugam Brute.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Hari Siddha Swarupatrik.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Rishi Rupa Dharakama.
Yogam Yogesha Rupatrik.
Yoga Yogesha Rupatrik. So again the question, you look at the board, is there anything where you can think, what is the translation? Something you know for sure? Yes.
Rupa, form.
Form.
Rishi, sages. Second last word.
Yeah, Rishi Rupa, but it's together with another word. So it may not mean the same.
No.
Some of the words which stand alone, did you know?
Jnanam is knowledge.
Yes. Transcendental knowledge.
That's
Something
not
else?
knowledge. Okay.
Huh?
Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Ah, first class, yes.
Jnanam hast du schon gesagt. Jnanam
Ja.
hast du gesagt, ja. Karma. Und so.
Ja. Karma ist das Karma. Okay, something else?
Yoga.
Yoga, yeah. The mystic yogic system.
Okay.
Okay, we take the word from
Yogesha is the yogic. The mystic yogi or not? Oh no, he's Yogesha Rupatrik. That's also the same.
Yeah.
It's Rishi Rupatrik.
Yeah, because sometimes when the words,
Yeah.
especially when they're linked together
Yeah.
with more words, then they may have another. Siddhas, yeah. Okay, we take it and then we know. Jnanam, transcendental knowledge. Cha, and. Anuyugam, according to the age. Brute, explains. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Siddha Svarupa assuming the form of liberated persons. Like Sanaka and Sanatana. Shri Rupadara, assuming the form of great saintly persons like Yajnavalkya. Karma, Yoga, the mystic yogic system. Yoga Isharupadrik, by assuming the form of a great yogi like Dattatreya. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In every yuga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, assumes the form of siddhas such as Sanaka to preach transcendental knowledge. He assumes the form of great saintly persons such as Yajnavalkya to teach the way of karma, and he assumes the form of great yogis such as Dattatreya to teach the system of mystic yoga. Purport. For the benefit of all human society, not only does the Lord assume the form of Manu as an incarnation to rule the universe properly, but he also assumes the forms of a teacher, a yogi, a jnani, and so on, for the benefit of human society. The duty of human society, therefore, is to accept the path of action enunciated by the Supreme Lord. In the present age, the sum and substance of all Vedic knowledge is to be found in the Bhagavad Gita, which is personally taught by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the same Supreme Godhead, assuming the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, expands the teaching of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is so kind and merciful to the human society that he's always anxious to take the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead. Should we read the verse again? The first verse. Indra, the king of heaven, receiving benedictions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus enjoying highly developed opulence, maintains the living entities all over the three worlds by pouring sufficient rains on all the planets. And then the verse, Jnana Chano Yugam Brute, Hari Siddha Svarupadrik, Rishi Rupa Parakama Yogam Yogesha Rupadrik. In every yuga, the Supreme Personality of Godhead assumes the form of siddhas such as Sanaka to preach transcendental knowledge. He assumes the form of great saintly persons such as Yajnavalkya to teach the way of karma, and he assumes the form of great yogis such as Dattatreya to teach the system of mystic yoga. Om Jnana-timiranda Shyamyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tashmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manodisham Shlavitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Svavadantikam Vachakavachirubhyascha Kripasindhubhyascha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter, it's called the System of Universal Management. And it's quite interesting how Krishna, he really likes order. So everything is put into a special system. Nothing is left to chance. Nothing is left to just happen without any purpose. So within the whole universe, there are all kinds of personalities. It says it's 36,000 demigods who kind of like take care of all the universal affairs.
Million.
Huh?
Million.
Million?
Yes.
Are you sure? I think it's the main ones. Okay,
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So all of these things, and the first verse we read, it's described how Indra, the king of heaven, he is in charge of the rainfall, and he makes sure that all the living entities all over the universe are sustained by the falling of the rain. So one could ask if Krishna, he really likes the order in the universe, and we have all these special, highly qualified persons who are in charge. Why are there therefore sometimes on earth disturbance within millions?
There are 33 main demigods,
Yeah, that's
and they are expanding into 330 million.
330 million.
330 million demigods. So these are a lot. That's like 330 million. That's like practically all the persons in Europe. Something like that. Don't Google it. How many millions? Like America is 300 million approximately, so something like that. You know, so
750 million in Europe.
so as half of the persons in Europe, they are engaged in managing the universal affairs. You know, so it's just enormous. It's enormous. It's for our brain. It's very difficult to comprehend how all these systems are working like in a perfect way. So the question was, how is it then possible that there are disturbances? Why are there on earth places where there are droughts, where people practically die of hunger because of the droughts? And why are there floodings, which just take away the houses and the people and the dogs and the children and schools and so one can ask, what are all these things happening when there are such highly effective management in place within the universe? Why are there then these things which doesn't make sense, which create so much suffering? So the answer is very simple. We're not supposed to be here. That's the answer. And Krishna, the last sentence that Prabhupada is writing in the Purport is that how Krishna is very keen, I don't know my glasses, not the word keen, but he is very anxious. Krishna is very anxious to always take all the fallen souls back to God, back home, back to God. That's his whole purpose. So, if this place would be all lovey-dovey, everything okay, then most people wouldn't ask the question, why am I here? They would just kind of like enjoy the beautiful gardens, the nice atmosphere, like that. Like it is, like an enemy planet. That's where if a soul is extraordinarily pious, he may leave this world and go to the heavenly planet. If he's very pious. And what is happening on the heavenly planet is he's just spending all his good karma. So he's just enjoying, he's just happy. You know, in the heavenly planet there may not be the only kind of suffering which is like there in the heavenly planet is that you're gonna die. That's kind of like the only. So there's always, maybe you can enjoy, but it's always somewhere looming in your consciousness. At one time it's gonna end. So that's the suffering in the heavenly planet. There is not much suffering, that's the suffering. So, but on this place, we are on the earthly planet, and on this place, we have a huge amount of suffering. And this is to help us, actually. It's a gift. Every time, I think, especially devotees, have this experience, if you go through some trials and some tribulation, you get the best, because you get realization. You get, it's like a gift. Actually, it's like a gift. In the moment, when things are happening to you, or circumstances are not very favorable, or you're suffering either mentally or physically, you may not be able to really accept it, but the whole idea is usually afterwards you can see, oh, that was when I made the most advancement. That was when I came to the best conclusions. That was when I actually surrendered to this deep personality. Devotees can use the difficult situation for self-realization. So Krishna is very kind. It's according to time and place, he will send different personalities, and here we have the mention of Dattatreya and Yajnavalkya, whom I personally, I couldn't explain who these personalities are exactly. Sanaka, I would be able to understand who is Sanaka. It's one of the 4 Kumaras. But they come with different, to teach different things. It says here, Yajnavalkya, he come to teach how to understand the law of karma. So this is like Anna Lakshmi was telling yesterday, even the children in the school, they say karma. Oh, this is your karma. So she's a teacher in the school, and she says it's kind of like everybody knows the term karma nowadays. It has become like popularized. People understand karma is the reaction. I do something, I get some reaction. So that was originally within the universe. It was taught to the people by Yajnavalkya. And then we have Dattatreya, who was there to teach the system of mystic yoga. So these are all systems which are there. But for us, the incarnation of the Supreme, which are closest to us, is the most important. It's always like a principle, whoever is the closest to us is the one who is meant for us. And the closest incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he is Krishna. Krishna Vana, Krishna Krishna, Samrupa Krishna Vashitam. He is Krishna himself, and he's coming with his angas, with his limbs, with his expansions. And he's coming in the mood of a servant of the Supreme Personality of God. And he is giving the example how to be completely absorbed in the holy name and in the service. There are many beautiful pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which in each and every pastime he is giving some idea of what is the bliss of devotional service. When he's dancing in front of the Hariyatra cart, he's giving the bliss of congregational chanting. when he's cleaning the Gunchita temple. He's there with all his devotees and he's using his personal cloth to polish the marble in the Gunchita temple. So he's teaching he's teaching the devotees how to make lines to pass the buckets of water and to splash the water or to clean the temple, how to work together in devotional service. He's personally teaching, he's personally being part of this. And the interesting thing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance and all of his activities is that he's inviting us to take part. When Krishna was there, he was also displaying wonderful pastimes. He was also there engaging in very a variety of really ecstatic, blissful pastimes. But these pastimes, or these, to be part of these pastimes, you had to be really kind of like part of the club. You had to be a devotee. There were many persons, when Krishna was there personally, there were many persons, they didn't recognize who he is. They couldn't see this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They would see him, oh, he's a great king, oh, he's a coward boy. Even persons like Indra and Brahma, they couldn't recognize who is Krishna. They couldn't see. So, in that sense, Krishna's pastimes, they are like very, you have to be invited in the club. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, it's like you have a theater play and all the actors on the stage are performing. That's when you see Krishna's pastimes. You can watch it from outside. But when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performs his pastimes, he invites everybody to be together with him on the stage, part of his pastimes. And he engages everybody in the pastimes. And these pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they're still going on today. Because every time a soul is connected to Krishna, through the chanting of the holy name, and through accepting Krishna Prasadam, or through accepting a book about Krishna, these are still the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and somehow or other we can be an instrument. So this is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is like an ocean of mercy. There's no mercy. There's no one who is more magnificent than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this was the first thing when Rupa Goswami saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. The very first thing that came out of his mouth when he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Namo Mahamadanya Krishna Prema Padayati Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Nam Gaura Krishna Maha. So the first thing he says, you are my Lord. You're the most magnificent incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because you're giving that which nobody has ever given before. You're giving the highest love of God to the most fallen. You don't even choose and pick who you give. You give to everybody. Even those who close their ears, they will still have the vibration of the holy name. They will still be affected. Even they try to physically close off. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is a very unique appearance. Krishna, he comes once in the day of Brahma. That's also like a scheduled incarnation. So Krishna, he will appear once in the day of Brahma. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appears after Krishna. So that all the pastimes of Krishna, they are still fresh and they can still easily be ascertained. You can easily Krishna also, after, that's what we found this verse in the Bhagavatam, how upon the departure of Lord Krishna, he remains in the form of the Bhagavatam. And this is also an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every day we can read Krishna in the form of a book. And this is also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was teaching us also how to take shelter of the Bhagavatam, how to listen to the Bhagavatam, how to study the Srimad Bhagavatam, how to be together and speak about the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Chaitanya, he will have special devotees within his close associate. They would read to him the Srimad Bhagavatam. And especially he liked to hear the story of Dhruva Maharaj, who was a boy, and how he reached the highest spiritual consciousness, and also he liked to listen to the story of Prahlad Maharaj and the pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev. And as soon as the talk was finished, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say it again, say it again. So he was very inspired to listen to the Srimad Bhagavatam and to be together with the devotees and perform the pastime of being absorbed in the transcendental knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are very fortunate, especially this chapter here. What can you say? It's actually funny because the chapter has, I don't know, it may be one of the shortest chapters of the whole Bhagavatam. It has 11 verses. The whole chapter has 11 verses, so we are practically almost at the end of the chapter. So the system of universal management, it's not very easy to speak about this kind of topics, but Srila Prabhupada, he has made it easy for us because he has, within the purport, he has mentioned Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for us nowadays, it makes it a little more easy to relate what is actually presented here in the Bhagavatam. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is there, then we can understand, okay, for the benefit of all of human society, not only does the Lord assumes the form of the Manas as incarnation and rule over the universe properly, but he also assumes the form of a teacher, a yogi, a jnani, and so forth, for the benefit of human society. So Srila Prabhupada is giving the example how this knowledge may be very highly elevated knowledge, but by presenting his purport, he is like connecting to us so we can understand, oh, that's what it's talked about here. Actually, Lord Chaitanya is there. He has been there. He has been there for the benefit of human society so that we can understand this knowledge. And also, the Lord, in this age, he presents the substance. That's what Prabhupada is writing here. He's saying, in this age, for us, for the people of this age, the whole substance of the Vedas is there within the Bhagavad Gita. And then you have Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who personally come and teach the Bhagavad Gita. Give an example how to understand the Bhagavad Gita, how to live the Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, for us, we can relate to it because of the example of how Srila Prabhupada is presenting it, so that we can relate to it. And then, Krishna also, there's a very, very merciful form of Krishna, which Srila Prabhupada has established all over the world, just for our benefit, just so that we can engage on a daily basis with our senses in the service of the Lord. And that's the form of religion. And Shri Radha Madhava, Shri Gauritai, Giriraj, and then named Sheilas, which are here. These are all personality who has been here. We just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of the big Shishiramadan. And they have been always worshipped along with the Shishi-Gornitai deities. So Gornitai deities, they have also been there for 50 years, worshipped along with Shishi-Gornitai. But the small Radha Krishna deities, they didn't even have the name of Madan Mohan in the beginning. They were just Radha Krishna. So the small Radha Krishna deities, they go even further back. Even they were installed even 6 years before the big deities came. So if we try to count all the devotees who have been worshipping Shri Radharani over the last 56 years, it may be very difficult for us even to mention the names of everybody, because there's been so many devotees. So Krishna has been there all the time. When many of these devotees are not there anymore, some have left their body, some have traveled to other parts of the world, some come even back. That's very interesting. We have devotees, they have been worshipping at one point, and then they come back. A few years later, they come back and worship again. So the form of the deity is very, very merciful because he's always there. Devotees may come and go, but the deity, he remains. It's the same for Lord Missionary on the farm. There has been a whole set of other persons who come and take up the worship after some years. But the deity remains. So this is a very merciful form of the Lord. He wants to be seen. He wants to be served. And he makes it easy for us because he comes in this transcendental form as a deity that we can serve and worship and give our time and affection in all kinds of artistic ways. They really enjoy the artistic ways of the devotees. You can see how devotees are encouraged for all the beautiful decorations and the paintings and the clothes and everything. It's done in a very artistic way. Even the vases are sometimes, it's like, wow, this a professional florist couldn't make vases like this. You know, it's like all this artistic inspiration devotees get to be part of this worship. So Krishna comes in these different forms, but the whole goal, actually, Prabhupada, he's using the word anxious. He's saying how Krishna is anxious. Anxious is actually like, it's like almost like the opposite of peaceful. If you are anxious, you're not satisfied. You want something, and you want it very, very much. So what's Krishna he's anxious about? He's anxious to bring all the fallen souls back to him, to the spiritual world where we belong. So this is, therefore he comes in different forms, different times, different places, different circumstances, just to capture the hearts and the minds of the conditioned souls and engage them in his personal service. So maybe there's some comment on these points or some questions. Yes, Vilas.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
thank you for
Krishna.
the nice lecture. Manjula-mani.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, what came to my mind is this example of the kingdom of Lord Ram. When he was present on earth, it was said that the kingdom was so dharmic ruled that he was such approach him when there was a problem, and he would find a solution. That everything was carried out so wonderfully, perfectly, that every citizen became more or less immortal. So there was even no death anymore at that point. And in relation to this, like the prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, that there will come a golden age in this time, like through the process of chanting Hare Krishna, there will be this religious principles re-established in our society, and there will come circumstances like in Satya Yuga, so everything will become very pious again and happy and wealthy and abundant, and there we can see that the Lord doesn't want to necessarily make us suffer in this world. It's just our own karma that we have to suffer because we are against the will of the Lord, because we are trying to be independent, we perform sinful activities to hurt ourselves and others, and then he is forced to send something in order to wake us up. And this is the result, this floods and everything. So it's also perfectly arranged. It's not that this is something deviated from the will of the Lord. It's that not even a blade of grass can move without the will of the Lord. So this is also wonderfully arranged by the demigods and by Lord Krishna, but it's because the people are just living so sinfully.
Yeah, and there is a sense of waking up us. You know, even in the kingdom of Ram, there was one Brahmana, and his son died. And he went to the king and said, "This is not possible. You're the king. Make that this thing doesn't happen. Because the son is not supposed to die before the father. The father is the first to die, and then the son dies. It's not supposed to be the other way around." So this is the whole idea of perfection within the material world. It's not supposed to be there because it's a prison. It's a prison house. What is in a prison? Everybody has this orange jumpsuit. I don't know what they wear in German prisons. This is like American prisons. I don't know what they wear in German prisons. I don't think the thing with the stripes, I think that's not anymore. But they wear some kind of universal clothing in the prison. So what is the universal clothing? The prison clothes that we are wearing, this
Material body.
This is the material body. We all have our jumpsuit. This is this body. So, and it's not, we may be young or middle-aged or something, but the whole idea of old age, disease and death, this is going to happen to all of us. So, what is the point of it is that we start to ask questions, that we start to come to some kind of, what's the meaning of it all? That's the whole idea. If we are lucky, Some people, they just suffer and suffer and suffer, and then they start to numb their consciousness with all kinds of addictions. Most addictions is there because of suffering, or maybe because of boredom. People don't know what to do with their life. They're very not satisfied. Therefore, all the kinds of addictions which are there, from gaming to alcoholism to other drugs to just all the things which are there. They are all there because they have not found the joy of self-realization. Because that's a journey. When you start the journey of self-realization, then you're no more bored. it makes sense to you. You find some meaning in your life. You find activities which are really nice to perform. So this is actually the Bhavosha tree. This is like the medicine, which is there for all living entities, and it's given. Krishna, he tries to find ways, especially through his devotees, to give it as much as he can. Huh?
A book.
A book. A book. Yeah, but also like also like it's amazing because we are in Trier now, and Trier is like 50 kilometers from here. It's quite a bit. But there are so many people who know about the temple in Anatolia. It's not that they don't know that we are here, they know. And I'm just amazed how all these people know, and there are even people who have been here a few times. You meet people, 50 kilometers away, what to speak of people who are even closer. So it's giving out. There's a nice article hanging now on the pinboard outside, and Krishna is mentioned, the festival is mentioned, devotees are mentioned, everything is mentioned. It's very favorable. So Krishna is trying in all kinds of ways to connect the living entities. And we do not see or understand the potency of the golden age. We are so much in the beginning of it that it's very difficult to comprehend how it's actually that Prabhupada's books will become the law books of the next 10,000 years, and how it's actually going to happen. But we can just get a small glimpse. If a person takes a book, I found something that's, I think people, they become so beautiful when they take a book. It's just amazing. A person who kind of like didn't look like much, when they have a book in their hand and they smile and they say thank you, I think it's the most beautiful. They really look like their eyes lit up. They feel some gratitude. They don't know what just happened to them. If that's their first book or their first contact with the Buddhists, they don't know what really happened. What happened was that the whole karma was whipped out. It says that just by chanting one holy name, we know from the story of Ajamil how just by chanting, he didn't even chant the holy name because he wanted to call the name of God. He was calling the name of his son. But still, the effect of the holy name is so powerful that all his sinful reactions was wiped away. So we don't see, we don't have this transcendental vision when we go on the street. We may get some glimpses how the destiny of the people are changed like that. But this is actually happening, and we are like putting the seeds in now for this golden age for the next 10,000 years, and it's going to happen. And we have to ask ourselves, do I want to be a part of it, or do I not want to be a part of it? That's more or less the only question. Something else? Yes.
Srimad Bhagavatam also says it gives 3 solutions to this sufferings. Like, there are 3 ways we suffer in this world: from other living entities, from our own body and mind, and from suffering that come through fate, like for example with floods and everything. As Srimad Bhagavatam says, you can counteract or dissolve the suffering that comes through fate, through your own past misdeeds, by mystic yoga, and it said japa and chanting Hare Krishna is meant with that. You can counteract the sufferings of the body and the mind, the body through Hatha Yoga and the mind through Pranayama, and you can counteract the sufferings you experience through other living entities by becoming a well-wisher and friend to everyone.
Yeah, so these are all within the Hatha and the Pranayama, are not within the process of bhakti, but bhakti actually kind of like law basis. You know, you don't as a devotee, you don't need to do hatha yoga and pranayama.
Actually,
You
it
can
helps
do-
if you are sick.
Yeah,
If you take
you
your
can do-
medicine, you're also taking Ayurveda, and I think Ayurveda is also a part of Bhakti, but still
Yes.
Ayurveda was brought from Dhanvantar, like an incarnation of the Lord, and Hatha Yoga is also coming from the Lord. So
You
it's said
can
that Lord Singadev brought the mystic yoga process, and if you're sick, for sure, if you're healthy, but in my case, it helped me a lot in different times with my body and my mind to do this. For sure, it's not bringing you to the ultimate goal, but your body is a machine and it needs sometimes fuel and repair. So
Yes. So the Prabhupada, he kind of like also recommended you dance in kirtan, then you can keep healthy. So there is and then there's the whole idea of only filling the stomach. You know, nobody follows this. Everybody knows. Prabhupada said, I spoke about this. You fill the stomach, half with food, a third with liquid, and bus. That's it. You know, if we would eat like that, we would never get sick. You know, so there are all kinds of recommended. We come through Prabhupada, come through the Ayurvedic system, but you know, the question is, are we following it? You know, so this is the whole idea is everything is within bhakti. You can find solution for all the problems within.
true, and Srimad Bhagavatam is a Bhakti Yoga scripture, the Bhakti Yoga scripture, and it recommends it. So it's not that we are Hatha yogis, but
Yeah.
if the body is sick, it really helps.
Something else? Question? I have a question. Victoria, question?
I mean, it's interesting to see how chaotic the world is at the moment. And everybody's preparing for a big war. And when you're just in a temple and you're not even affected by this, and just you go on with your daily routine and you're protected. Feels very much like that we are protected. And when you follow the system of God, which is completely in order, everything is in order, everything is regulated, when you then see on the other hand these godless leaders which are in the world, and they have nothing else to do but destroying everything to build everything up again, instead of turning to God and following the system of God, which is perfect, which is all caring and all loving. Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Exactly everything what you just said now. Exactly. Practically to the T. The Pope just said 2 days ago. Exactly. So, and that's very interesting because truth and spirituality, it comes in so many forms. But are the people taking to the process? That's the order comes from God. The peace, the order, all the blessings come from the Supreme. And even now the Pope who's there now, he's very conscious of trying to shake up the people and he's even saying Trump is not the problem. Trump is like the symptom that everything under is wrong. Then you get, that's the result you get when everything is godless. When the whole society is like lost in the material consciousness, then you get like these kinds of personalities who kind of like make the decisions on behalf of everybody, which is like, the world is just going completely crazy when you have crazy people like this. So this is, but it's just a symptom. It's the symptom of godlessness. So it's very interesting how if people become really God conscious, then there will be order, there will be peace, people will be completely satisfied. They will not long for more and more and more, which is, and all the greed and the envy and all of these qualities, they will kind of like just go away. So this is our process, and we want to present it to many people. We want to invite many people to take part in this process, and just by practicing ourselves and also trying to like, there was a community living in this place before us. It was the Christian communities. They were here for 7 years, but they were closed. They didn't have a summer feast. They didn't invite people. They didn't go to visit their parents or kind of like, they were not open. They didn't want to have guests, you know, and have discussion and dialogue like that. And that was, they told us also that is practically why we were not a success. And they were blessing us, more or less. I hope you can find out how to do it, you know, in a way that it can. We are here since 30 years almost, so actually 30 years we're here now. So this, if you can sustain that Krishna is the center and that everybody works for his pleasure, then you get a very beneficial atmosphere. And it's contagious. God consciousness is contagious. So it's a good thing. It rubs off on other people. If you're very God conscious and you have contact with some people, then they also get a little bit of that. So it's a contagious process of joy that we try to give to others. Okay, something else?
I just researched this Yajnavalkya and Dattatreya, what they did.
Yes.
In Yajnavalkya, he brought some kind of Dharmic Shastra compared to Manu Samhita, where there were rules and regulations, how to live properly, how to deal with inheritances and stuff like this. And Dattatreya, he was considered like a partial Shakti-Avesh empowerment of the Lord, and he was considered having Shaktis from Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And he brought this teaching that the Guru is everywhere in the creation. If you have the right sight, then you can learn from everything. And there's a certain passage in the Bhagavatam which talks about Dattatreya, and then he's listing this 24 items from earth, air, sky, until a spider and a fish, how these implement some knowledge, some realization about the absolute truth.
Yeah, so Dattatreya, of course he's in the Bhagavatam. They're all in the Bhagavatam. You just have to keep reading. And even if you read like 2 hours every day, it takes you quite some time to get through all of Prabhupada's books. You know, even if you really commit every day some time, that's when I'm gonna be, you know, present with the Bhagavatam in the association of Srila Prabhupada. It's like you can create your own little bubble where you just have the personal darshan of Prabhupada, and where you just sit and have this association. I was just, because I'm reading Prabhupada's books since quite some time in the order how he wrote them. So every book, whenever he wrote it, that's the next one I read. So I'm at the moment in the second canto, because already in 68 or 69, the first 2 chapters of the second canto was out, just as a small booklet. Not before the whole book was printed, it was out in a small. So I'm reading this. Of course, I don't have it. Nobody had that original booklet. Radhanath Swami, he speak about how that was like one of the very first books he had, and there was like a small booklet, and they would read it until the pages practically would fall out, because there were not so many books in the beginning of the movement. And if you do that, if you take shelter of the books, I wanted to share one small thing, which is just, you come to know Srila Prabhupada in a very sweet way if you study his books. He will become a very, there are not many places in the books, but there are places where he speaks about himself or where he reveals something of how he sees things or how whatever. So there's one nice place where there's this description of the Super Soul, and we all know the picture of the Super Soul. We all know how he is carrying 4 different items in his hands. And then we have one. I will read just a small part, and then I will share it with something. So there's this description of the Super Soul, a plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as the Super Soul, resides within the body in the region of the heart. He measures about 8 inches, which is this much, and has 4 hands, carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a concha, and a clock, respectively. So have any of you known that the Super Soul carries a wheel of a chariot? We see even on the picture, what is he carrying? Sudarshan Chakra. So why is Srila Prabhupada saying the Super Soul? He is looking in within his heart, and he is seeing, here's the Super Soul. And in his heart, the Super Soul is none different from Krishna. And Krishna is Partha-Sarati. He carries a wheel of chariot on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He gets down from the chariot to save Arjuna. And he takes up as a weapon. He is not supposed to take up any weapon in the war of Kurukshetra. That was he vowed, I'm not going to take up a weapon. But a wheel of a chariot is not a weapon. So he didn't break his promise when he took up a wheel of a chariot and he rushed and used it as a weapon, actually. But, so how is Prabhupada? He's seeing within his heart, he's seeing the Super Soul, but he's seeing Krishna. So if you read Prabhupada's books, you understand, small portions of Srila Prabhupada. He just kind of like reveals himself in so many sweet ways when you read his books. You can have this personal association. We are now in the generation of devotees, which are grand-disciples and great-grand-disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We didn't have this personal association, but we can have it. We can make a space in our home where we invite him by sitting down and reading his books. And he will personally be there. And we will see things about Prabhupada. Wow! What amazing small details. He will give us himself in his books. If Prabhupada said, if you want to know me, you read my books. So, that's it.